Well, it's Pistol Pete, Mr. Loa, Smoking Locas in the house. We're coming through YouTube straight into your house, bringing all the gossip and the news, and we're loud. So sit back, pop a cold one. The P Street Podcast is on now.
What is up, everybody? It's your boy Pistol Pete, back with you from the P Street Podcast. With me right here, I got Mr.
Smoky Lonjas,
Mr. Loa,
Chinatown Chukis,
and welcome to the 10-year reunion for P Street, since we never get back together all the time. Yeah, but with us, we have Trent Graham. I'm going to let Trent introduce himself and let you know what this is about.
Well, hey, everyone tuning in. This is kind of a reunion with me for some of these guys, too. Known Mr. Roscoe for a long time. Used to play soccer together. I've known Smokey for a long time. I've known of you other two guys, but I don't think we've hung out a lot. So anyway, it's good to see y'all, and I appreciate y'all for having me on. Born in 1986, right here in Pecos, Texas. Grew up here. Graduated high school in 2004. Played tennis, varsity tennis. That was my sport. Played a lot of soccer with this guy right here growing up.
You'd be good at soccer today.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
Maybe. I don't know. It's been a while. It's been a while since I picked up a racket.
It sure has,
so, yeah. But anyway, after graduating from high school, I played varsity tennis at Hardin-Simmons in Abilene for 2 years. And then I had a chance to go play at the Citadel, which is the military school of South Carolina. It's D1, so I wanted to go play D1, see what that was like. So I played there for 2 years. Got my butt kicked a lot, but it was good. It was a good experience. My GPA at Hardin-Simmons wasn't what it should have been, so military school really got me in shape and got me in line. There wasn't a lot of distractions, needless to say. So graduated from the Citadel cum laude with a history degree, and I came back to Pecos. And I don't know if y'all remember Maritza, who worked at the technology department there at the high school for a while. Jesse worked with her. Okay. So I worked with them for a while. We actually installed these microphones in all the schools. It was called Front Row, I think. That was a tough job. It was during the summer, and we had to climb up in the ceilings of all the schools in Pecos. And these are before the new ones are being built. And a lot of them, you had to move the tile over and the insulation set on the tile. So we're talking about 100-degree heat up in the ceiling with insulation. It was rough. So, that was my, some of my taste of manual labor. So I worked with them for that summer, and then I substitute taught here. And I don't know why, but they would always put me in the OCS or DAEP, whatever they call it now, to substitute those kids.
Maybe it was to do some time that you didn't do before. You owe us.
I was pretty mischievous in high school, so yeah, it was all well intentioned though. Yeah. But so I had kids running away from me. It was anyway. I sat down. And I was like, well, I don't like this. I didn't particularly like climbing in the ceilings, so I decided to go study for the LSAT. I took that in Midland, Odessa. Did pretty good, and then got accepted to University of Houston Law Center. So I went there. Took 3 years. That's what it takes to get a JD, which is a Juris Doctorate. So I got my law degree, and then I was traveling back to Pecos right after graduation. I had my Yukon loaded up, and it broke down in Kerrville. Was able to get it, back and running a little bit, but it would only go up to 35, and the air conditioners wouldn't work. So I had to drive the rest of the way from Kerrville to Pecos on the access roads when I could, and then get on the interstate going 35. It wasn't fun, but I came back to Pecos, and I spent the next couple of months studying for the bar, which is the licensing exam for a lawyer. I went to Lubbock, took that. It's a multi-day test, so it's, when you're studying for it, it takes up a lot of time. Passed it on my first attempt, and then I came back here, and Scott Johnson was still the attorney here in this office, and I worked with him while he was transitioning to become a judge. So, I'd shadow him, get some experience, did some cases, and then the rest is history. I've been practicing here in this office for 13 years.
Awesome.
Nice.
Got it. Okay. So now that you're running for Reeves County, can you explain to the people like what part of like job duty you'll be doing? Like what are you going for? Reeves County attorney.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Can you explain like what is that role plays?
So it's different for different counties, but primarily here it's traditionally been for everyone it's always you prosecute Class A and Class B misdemeanors. So there's 3 levels of misdemeanors. Class C being your least serious, then it graduates up. Class B is right in the middle, and then Class A is your most serious. So, for example, Class B misdemeanor, the most amount of jail time you could get on that 6 months. Okay, for a Class A misdemeanor, the most you can get on that is 12 months. And Class C's, are typically paid off with a fine. That's like your traffic tickets, your open containers, public intox, simple assault. Those are your Class C misdemeanors. So I don't deal with those. Those are handled by the city attorney. But I would be prosecuting Class B and Class A misdemeanors. And, I've been doing defense work for these 13 years. So, I've been the primary defense attorney in misdemeanor court. So I've got a lot of experience doing that here and in Monahans. Tried a bunch of misdemeanor jury trials and felony jury trials, and trying a jury trial. That's when it's really serious at that point, and those take a lot of work and a lot of time. But I've never shied away from going in front of a jury. But typically the most common Class A and Class B misdemeanors, you'll see theft. So as long as the amount that's been stolen or the value of the property is under $2,500, then it qualifies as a misdemeanor. So your petty theft, your small thefts, those will go through misdemeanor court. And those affect a lot of people in town, a lot of businesses. So you see a lot of that, a lot of DWIs, a lot of assault family violence. Those are your typical type of misdemeanor cases.
So now that you're running for the Reeves County attorney, you have been on the defensive side. What is your strategy now to swap and start prosecuting?
Well, I think I've got a unique position because I've done so much defense work. So I've seen how prosecutor in Monahans handles things, prosecutor in Pecos handles things. I've done a lot of cases in Kermit, Van Horn, Alpine. So I've got to see how a lot of different prosecutors, their style, what they feel is important. And Ms. Alvarez, who's the current county attorney, has done a good job. But I think I can bring the best of both worlds to this job. Meaning, I know typically what a defense attorney is going to do, their strategy, because I've done that and I've tried those cases. And I've never shied away from a courtroom. I've never shied away from a jury trial. So that's how I am going to treat the position if I'm elected. So, as soon as a defense attorney knows you don't want to go to trial, you lose a lot of leverage. That's going to be, my biggest strength is I have a lot of trial experience. I think that's going to help a lot as far as moving cases and making sure that justice is served. And what I mean by that, too, is when you're charged with an offense, it doesn't make you guilty. And a prosecutor's job should never be just to get convictions. It's to seek justice, okay? That's in the Constitution. It's part of our law. And what that means by justice is to make sure that, who you're prosecuting or what you're prosecuting, that person is guilty, okay? It's better for 10 guilty people to get off than for one innocent guy to go to jail. So, take the case, evaluate it, and make sure that justice is served. And again, that doesn't mean getting a conviction. That means prosecuting people that are actually guilty.
Okay.
Just one more follow-up on that one, right? So I totally agree with that, right? Make sure that justice is being served. Now, when the case or a case comes up and it's like we're going to prosecute, is the goal always the max penalty or the max sentence allowed? or what is the how do y'all make that decision as far as how much time?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So no, that's not always the goal. So let's say someone's charged with a crime and we're looking at the case. If it's their first offense, that plays into it, right? So it wouldn't be, justice isn't being served by giving a guy a year in jail for their first offense. Typically, it depends on what type of offense is, but we're not dealing with felonies in this position. We're dealing with Class A's and Class B's. So your very serious crimes, your sex assaults, your murders, that's the DA. And that's Sarah Stogner. She handles those, okay? So, to answer your question, we'll look at criminal history. That's a big one. So, if your name is on the docket over and over and over and over and over, and he remembers, when he worked with the sheriff's office, you kind of start seeing the same people coming through. And those are the people that, they're not learning, right? They're not being rehabilitated, so their punishment that you're seeking is going to be a little higher than others, right? And then, you certainly look at the facts of the case, okay? And if it's something that's very egregious, then you'll look for a higher punishment or a higher fine. If this guy's stolen several times, right? Well, he probably needs to do some more time, higher punishment. Mm-hmm. So I would say criminal history is probably your biggest, and then the actual facts of the case. And we like to use a fancy word called mitigating, determination. So that's if, you're looking at the facts and, okay, well, this helps lessen their culpability. And you look at stuff like that.
I got a question for you. Yep. So what would you tell teenagers graduating right now, that, they're coming out of high school and, they're coming out to life, to the new world, I guess, Mm-hmm. And they still think they have that mentality of high school still with let's party and everything. You just said, when they become consistent on doing dumb things, can you just verify to them who's watching this that you're noticing the pattern of who keeps messing up, and eventually, I'm not saying they'll become a target, but I mean they're watching. You know what I'm saying? What they're doing. Right. What would you say to them? Advice? You're hey guys, this is what you got to do coming out of high school. Don't do these things because we are watching and we watch the consistency of your mess ups.
Exactly, and you always have a record. No matter what, whether you have a criminal record or not, there's always a record of your behavior, okay? Right. And, the biggest thing I can say is, there's a lot of money to be made in Reeves County right now. There's a lot of opportunities. It's easier to get in college now than it was when we graduated and stuff. So, if you want to go and get your higher education, then that's great. You should go pursue that. Or if you want to make money here in Pecos or in the oil field, whatever, that's great too. Okay, but your employers aren't going to like you when you come into work with a DWI, right? Exactly. And there's a lot of competition in those jobs, and they're going to choose the guy that doesn't have a criminal record over the guy that does. Exactly. And so the biggest advice I can give to young people is that stuff follows you. I mean, it follows you forever, right? Right. Doesn't go away. Mm-hmm. So, the drinking's a big problem. The vaping's a big problem. Yeah. And y'all know, like I said, employers, when you've got multiple applicants and, you've got so many that don't have a criminal record and you have this guy that does, they may want to hire that guy, but they're going to hire the people without the criminal record. Exactly. So that's the biggest advice I can give to teenagers, is it follows you and it doesn't go away. Right. And the more times you show up in court, it's just going to keep getting progressively worse. So there's a lot of good opportunities here at this point in time, and it would be a shame to waste those on, stupid stuff.
Yeah, good advice.
And besides the prosecution in the jury room, mm-hmm. Handling criminal cases, what else does the office consist of? What else do you guys do?
So, protective orders are a big part of being a county attorney. So let's say, there's some domestic violence, mm-hmm. Some family violence. Someone beats up their wife. Wife beats up their husband, because I've seen that before. Mm-hmm. So, it goes both ways. Yeah. That victim can come to the county attorney's office and file a request for a protective order. So typically what happens on assault family violence cases or domestic violence cases is if that person is arrested, the alleged perpetrator, then they'll get jailed, and what will happen next is the JP or the city judge, we call them magistrate judges, will issue what's called an emergency protective order. And that basically you can't go around the alleged victim, you can't go to the house. If there are children involved, you can't be around those children. But that's a temporary solution. So if it's particularly bad, you can go and apply for an actual protective order, which can be in place for a year, 2 years, okay? And in some cases, longer than that. But the protective order is a piece of paper, and I always advise clients, pieces of paper are great. If someone violates that protective order, it's another offense. It's another criminal offense, violation of protective order. They'll go to jail. So it's got more teeth than like a restraining order and stuff like that. But again, it's just a piece of paper. So if someone really wants to get at you, they can. But it's important to start that process because it helps, and it helps protect that person. And that's a primary function of the county attorney's office. In some places, the county attorney also acts as general counsel to the county and the commissioners. So here, it's not necessarily the case. That could change, and I would be open to that change if they wanted to. But as of right now, I believe the county has employed a law firm as their general counsel.
What is your primary goal as a top prosecutor in this county? And then also, if you have like your top 3 priorities for a prosecutor officer in your first 100 days.
Okay. Well, to clarify a little bit again, the top prosecutor is the DA, right? She does the first degrees, second degrees, third degrees, your felonies, okay? And again, I'm just dealing with Class A and Class B misdemeanors, okay? And juvenile cases, that's another big part.
Okay.
Is I will handle a lot of juvenile cases. And the key difference between juvenile law and adult criminal law is, when you prosecute someone as an adult, you either send them to jail, probation, or prison, if it's a felony. So it's punitive, it's punishment, right? Juveniles, it's more rehabilitative. You're trying to course correct, get them going right. So that would be one of my top goals, is to make sure that continues, that we're not trying to punish our kids, that we're trying to correct what's going on. I know from my experience, because I've done a lot of juvenile cases representing juveniles, that one of the big problems is vapes at school and cell phones, so if I can help lessen that problem, then I'll certainly, be wanting to do that.
What's something that you want to bring to the job, that you want to implement, something new that's going to make a difference?
Well, I'd like to advocate or continue advocating for a local mental health rehabilitation center. So one of the biggest problems that I've seen in my experience, and I've represented some of these people, are we've got some issues with individuals with mental health issues, okay? And, part of getting a conviction or something like that is you have to make sure that they knew what they were doing.
Gotcha.
And we call it mens rea, but it's, you intended to do this crime. Some people with mental health issues commit a crime, but, they don't necessarily intend to do that, or their mental health, caused them to commit these crimes.
Right.
So typically what we usually do is we'll have to send them off to a regional mental health center, okay? And I know Mr. Roscoe probably, when he was working with the sheriff's office, had to deal with MHMR, people coming over there, and it costs money. It's not very conducive to do it in a jail. So it'd be nice to have a local facility. So I'd like to advocate for that, get that in place, because these are our citizens that we're talking about. And they don't necessarily need to be treated like criminals. They need some help, and the criminal justice system isn't the greatest at helping people with mental health issues. So I'd like to try to do a better job of doing that.
Okay, test. I'm going to give you a test then, since you already said this, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, how do you know if he's not faking it? like, let's say, for example, do you have anybody who analyze them? Like,
Yes.
or do you
Yeah.
have to experience that same thing? Like, you got to be in the room with them to see if they're faking it or not?
Well, so typically what happens is the state or the defense attorney will, tell the court or make a motion that, hey, I don't think they're competent, or I think they're insane under the law. Okay, so once that's been stated, then they'll go see a physician. Okay, usually a psychologist, a licensed one, and that's usually in Big Spring. And that person will make a determination of whether or not they're competent to stand trial first, and if they're insane, meaning they're not mentally culpable for what they did. So that person will make that determination, and then the goal at that point is to restore them. So they'll usually get on a regimen of medication, get counseling, stuff like that. But again, be nice if we could do that here as opposed to sending them off.
Yeah. At the beginning, you were telling us a little bit about your background, jobs that led you to another job that led you where you ended up at. What led you to run for the Reeves County Attorney's Office?
It's a job that I've wanted for a long time. I feel like I've put in, enough work doing what I've been doing. I kind of want to change the scenery, and I feel like I can do a lot of good as the Reeves County Attorney. I didn't want to do it immediately. Mm-hmm. I wanted to get my feet wet. I wanted to get some trials under my belt. Wanted to get some experience. I think I've done that. And, I want to give back to the community that raised me and the community that gave me all of this experience. Okay. Everyone that I've dealt with throughout my 13 years has been great, whether it be judges, prosecutors, other attorneys. And, I felt a calling to do this, and I think I can do a good job.
And every time somebody runs, they see things differently from their opponents or from whoever's in office, and they was like, well, if I was in office, I'd change this, or I'd run this a little bit better. Mm-hmm. What's your mindset on that? And I'm not necessarily asking what would you change, what would you bring different? How would you, as Trent Graham, if you were to be elected, is there any change or something that stuck out that said, we need to do a better case than this? Like you said earlier about bringing up, what is it, the MHMR
mm-hmm.
to town. Not MHMR specifically, right? But the
mental health.
The
Yes.
mental health. That was a big plus. What else different? Whether it's a pro or con, would you change or bring different or do different?
Yeah, for sure. So moving the dockets. It's not good to have. And what I mean by that is there's a list of people who are in jail or people that have criminal cases. Okay, from any given point, it could be 100. It could be 50. But the system tends to get clogged up, meaning people stay in jail for extended periods of time. And that shouldn't happen for misdemeanors, okay? Now, if they have felonies as well, then they're probably going to stay in jail for a little while. But moving those people, because it costs money, as you know, to keep people incarcerated in jail. I'd like to move the dockets faster. Trying cases is one way to do that. Not being afraid to try in cases is a way to do that, because a lot of times, a defense attorney is going to try to drag it out, and sometimes that's a strategy. It shouldn't be, but sometimes that is. So trying to move this stuff quicker, more turnaround, getting people out of the jail is something that I'd like to see and do.
Okay,
That's good. That's good.
Hey, I'm digging all the answers right now. I've only experienced a trial one time,
Uh-huh.
and then so for those that never have, right, somebody starts, then somebody follows, and then there's an opportunity for rebuttals. But this is the only county attorney candidate that we have.
Yes, sir.
Do you feel a disadvantage to going first in this kind of thing if another one were to come and reach out, like, hey, can I do this too? Like, is there like an advantage to going first, or how do you see this?
As first in like a trial?
No,
or,
as first as in this
Yes,
podcast.
here.
Right?
That's exactly what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
So I mean, because we did this for other parts and other seats and
For
councils
other
and stuff, right?
candidates,
So
yeah.
it's
They'll
just-
go off based on what you said, and you.
Yeah. No, I don't see a disadvantage. I like that y'all got me on here first.
Well, I'll ask
I
a question.
appreciate
What's
it.
something that you saw maybe your candidate is not doing as good as you could do better than him?
He doesn't have the experience,
Gotcha.
in my opinion. He hasn't tried as many cases as I have. He doesn't really do criminal defense, which he could, but he may have his reasons for that. I can't speak for him.
Gotcha.
But I've tried felony cases, very serious felony cases, in front of a jury. I've tried civil cases. Those are usually in front of a judge. There's very rare occasions where it could be a jury trial in a civil case. I've tried misdemeanor cases, not only here, but in other locales. I think that's my greatest asset, is I've done the job. I've been county attorney pro tem on several occasions, which means I've actually, on a temporary basis, been the county attorney. I've tried various cases. I know criminal law like the back of my hand. I think if you're making me compare, then I think that's an
what
advantage
stands out.
that I have. Yeah.
Okay,
Experience.
that's good.
I like that.
Oh, and to answer your question, so I'll kind of tie it in with the trial. So as a prosecutor, you go first. So I'm glad I'm going first here.
Not afraid to take the lead. Let's go first. Then it's confidence, man.
Oh,
So whoever's running against you, be scared. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Get your questions ready.
No, get your questions ready too. I'm just kidding.
That's cool, man.
Hey, I mean, if there's nobody thinking of anything just now, just kind of want to talk, get to know you a little bit. I
Yeah,
know
for sure.
You graduated a little bit after me
When did you graduate?
in 02.
02.
Right?
Okay.
So a couple years later, there you
So,
were.
05, 06?
04.
04?
And he said
Yeah.
04
Oh,
earlier.
04,
And I was looking at some of the pictures you have of the swim team of 05. I was like, man, I don't see him in here, but
Yeah.
I'm guessing those are your buddies.
My wife,
Okay.
Catherine
Okay.
Menjades.
All right,
She's
yeah.
Catherine Graham now, but
Gotcha,
she
yeah.
was a big swimmer.
Was the plan always come back to Pecos?
Honestly, no.
No?
But
All right.
I'm glad I did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
heck
I like Pecos. Pecos is home. So
I gotcha.
yeah.
That's good. I hear that.
I dated Catherine in high school. So we got married. We have a daughter. She's 5. So I mean, my roots are here. So my parents still live here.
That's awesome.
Since you're doing felony like type A, type B, would it?
Those are
Well,
misdemeanors.
misdemeanor type A, type B. Would this fit one of your? I mean, I guess a question would be, how do you define justice?
Justice is a hard word to define, but like I was stating earlier, it's doing what's best under the law. So again, if someone's guilty, then justice is making sure that person pays, right? Whether it be a fine, whether it be jail. If a person is not guilty, and let me kind of frame it right now. So my job as a prosecutor, if we're going to trial, is to make sure that this guy's guilty beyond reasonable doubt. That's the standard of proof, and that's the highest standard of proof we have in our legal system. So I always use this as an example when we're picking a jury and I'm talking to people. For someone to take a child away from you, to terminate your rights to a child, the standard is clear and convincing evidence, and it's a very high standard. So the evidence against you to take your child away has to be clear and convincing. Okay? Proof beyond a reasonable doubt is higher than that. So as a prosecutor, I have to prove more than what it would take to take your child away from you. Okay? And that's a very high standard of proof. And that's the way it should be, right? Because if it weren't that way, it wouldn't be a system. It wouldn't be the American system. It'd be something more akin to China or, some other foreign country. And, one good thing to think about, too, is you're innocent until proven guilty. It's not the other way around. So that's justice. I have to prove your guilt.
Got
And if
it.
I can't do that, then I didn't meet my burden, and you go free. And that's the way it should be.
Okay, how do you clear your mind? Let's say, for example, you're trying to take a kids away. You know, you're in Pecos. Everybody gonna know.
Well, I'm not trying to take
No. As an example. As an example. Let's say it's an example, right? An example, like let's say if it comes to a case like that, right? Taking a child away. You know, here in Pecos, people are gonna bash. How do you clear your mind and notice, like, hey, this is a ripple effect that they might be thinking, oh, we voted for the wrong one to go up there. Like, how do you clear your mind and how do you convince these people, hey, you know what, I did it because of these evidence? Like you have to have enough evidence. For example, parents either coked up on some type of drugs, right? And I mean, a lot of people don't see that, right? They just see, oh, you just took the child away from that mother. Like, how do you clear your mind saying that?
I'm not concerned with what they're saying.
Yeah, they're going based on emotion.
My main concern in that situation is the child.
Right.
So I don't. If I feel that it's in the best interest of that child, then I can care less what someone says otherwise.
There you go. I'll ask you. Have you ever dealt with environmental lawsuits and stuff like that in West Texas?
Yeah, a little bit, not a lot. So I had a case out of Monahans where some people had moved next. Well, actually, they were living there, and then a tank battery got placed next to their residence. And, the Railroad Commission has certain regulations and stuff for where tank batteries can be placed. They can't be placed within so many miles or yards or feet of a residence. And they had violated those regulations. So we filed what's called a nuisance suit, which is a type of, it could be environmental, it could be anything, but this was an environmental nuisance, right? Because, there could be a sour gas leak or something like that could damage these people. Definitely. So a little bit of experience on that end, but not a whole lot. I did take an environmental law class in law school, so we learned all about the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, EPA regulations and stuff like that. But other than, some oil field type cases that kind of cross that line, that would be the extent of my experience.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And if elected to office, will you still practice law out of your own personal office? Or would there
I'll
be
still
a
have my
conflict
civil
of
practice.
interest?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah. So I won't be able to do the criminal defense anymore.
Okay.
I can't do anything that is against the state as county attorney. But I also have a pretty extensive civil practice. I do a lot of family law, a lot of child custody cases, a lot of probates, a lot of estate planning, contracts, document review. I do a lot of that stuff, and I'll still be able to do that.
That's wonderful because I was like, man, I'm gonna ask him before we're done. Do you do any types of things like that, like so the estate planning, LLC stuff? Can you help with those types of things?
Yeah, I do a lot of that. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
All right.
What you got?
Me?
Yeah.
Go.
No, I was gonna say we didn't got nothing else. I was gonna let him do his own thing. Talk to the people, see.
Yeah, exactly. Tell them why they should vote for you.
Should vote for you, and you're the right candidate for the right
freestyle. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I let them know why they should vote for you. Yeah.
I'll give them what you're. Close an argument, right? Yeah.
There you go.
Well, I'm from here. I've been from here. I've never left other than to do my schooling. A lot of my clients know the type of work that I put in when I get hired on a case. And that's the thing. When you get hired on something, your number one job is to make sure you are taking care of your client's interests, okay? And the legal system is an adversarial system. So just like tennis or a sport, you're going against someone, right? And someone's got to lose. I've represented a lot of people, and I've gone against a lot of people. So to kind of tie it back to, what I think about what other people think, I don't care. My job is to protect my client's interests because that's what they've hired me to do. And in an adversarial system, you're going to piss off the other side. There's no way of getting around that. And if I'm worried about pissing off the other side, then I'm not doing my job, right? Because my job is to make sure that my client's interests are taken care of. And if I'm county attorney, that means Reeves County. So I'll put the same level that I've done for my clients into my position as county attorney for Reeves County. And Reeves County has done a lot for me. This community has done a lot for me. I still have a lot of friends here. I have a lot of support here. I'm glad I'm here. We're raising our child here. So I want to give back, okay? And people have been very supportive. Again, you're not going to make everyone happy. I'm not a fool to think that. But to me, that means I'm doing my job. And I think that's why you should vote for me, is I've got the experience. I've done the job. I've tried numerous cases with success, by the way. And I feel that I am in the best position to take the reins over on this job and move forward for a better future for Reeves County and the community. And that's my goal, and that's my concern. And that's why I think you should vote for me.
Awesome.
Well, I guess Peach Street Podcast got found guilty. I'm just kidding.
Just you, Smokey.
Yeah. We could see guilty when he walked in the door.
The glasses gave him away.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh man! But any way they can contact you, reach out if anybody has any questions or wants to find out more about you.
Yeah, so my Facebook page, it's under Trent Graham. I have a campaign page as well. You can always message me on that. And you can always come by the office, 110 West 5th Street, right by the city cleaners, right across the street from that, what used to be the theater. I don't know what it is now, but I'm getting tired of looking at it.
Yeah, I know, me too. I was like, when are they going to do something about that?
But yeah, my door's always open, and it always has been since I've been here.
What are the days when they can go out and vote for this election?
So early voting begins February 17th, and I believe it runs through the 27th.
Okay.
And then March 3rd is the actual election.
Okay.
So.
And if you have time, you'll be at the Meet the Candidates February the 5th. Is that correct?
I'll have time, yeah. I'll
Yes,
be there.
so you have questions, stop by and meet before or after.
Exactly.
Hey, before you leave, you have to have a nickname. Okay, you gotta come out. Everybody come out with the nickname.
What are they inspired Master Grant.
You put me on the spot.
Don't worry, anybody who comes gonna
They get all put on the spot.
Why don't you work on that and get back with me?
There you go.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay, I think that's it then, man. Again, everybody, thanks for coming to our 10-year reunion. Hopefully we can get together more often. You got to know Trent here like we did. Don't forget to cast your vote. So
Exactly.
signing off, man. Pistol Pete.
Mr. Law.
Smoky Lonjas.
Chinatown Chookies.
And still working on
Yeah,
it.
We gotta be
still
working
working
on
on it. Yeah, Smokey's gonna get me a good nickname.
Yeah.
God bless.
Trent Graham.
Yep.
All right. Peace.
Laters.